Texas. I think their annual sales are around $46 billion. It's the largest, world's largest distributor of restaurant food in the world. And they have, I think, 194 different locations across Canada and the United States, including a very modern, up-to-date, state-of-the-art location in Victoria. So today's speaker has joined Sysco about 10 years ago. He started off as a sales rep. He was promoted to district manager, and now he is the produce specialist in the Victoria location. And he's going to tell us a little bit more about Sysco and how it operates. And would you please welcome Graham Rumley.
Hi, everybody. Well, Brad's, well, he's getting going on this. The way that we've kind of set this up is this is typically I have like a structured sort of presentation that I do. But we're going to ad-lib a little bit and throw a little bit in just to give you guys some more information sort of from the retail type end of things and just for information. But this is something that we do on a, we do this on a weekly, monthly basis. This is information that anybody can access on YouTube that Sysco has set up. So it was funny because this morning, Brad and I were driving down here and I got an alert about strawberries. So the whole market has shifted in the last 48 to 72 hours. And that's how quick things can happen. So this is just a video showing the fields and all that sort of stuff. They're usually, our updates are about a minute long. So we'll go into that, we'll show you what an alert looks like, and I'll try to explain basically just about some of the standards in the food industry that we have with our produce, and other competitors we may have the same, but because we're so large, we have to make sure that we have the proper procedures and safety in place. So I'll leave it at that.
So you're gonna have to try and listen a little bit carefully, like very carefully, because these aren't actors; they're actually the people that are in the field. So sometimes he goes away from the camera and you can't hear him too clearly. So please just bear with us.
Good morning, everyone. Matt here. I'm in a strawberry field near Watsonville, California. We had some rain last night. I'm just checking condition today. I've been moving behind a crew that's been stripping berries this morning because of that rain, so I'll just show you what that looks like. So here's a berry I found with pin rot. You can see it on there. And if you look down the furrow, you can see quite a bit of berries that have been stripped and thrown in the furrow. What's up on the plant is a much younger fruit. Flowers, fruit that's developing. You see where they snapped it off the older fruit. That's a shame because it's nice, good-sized fruit. It's just too damaged by the rain. There's some rain damage right there. So this is what we're working with. This is what's kind of pushing markets up. And we're going to have to go from here, reset the plants, and try again. When you get consistent rain, one storm after another, it really makes things difficult for berries because it just, you have to constantly reset the product, and you can't get a consistent harvest that way. So that's what we're working through. Thanks for your patience. Good things come from Sysco.
You kind of get used to that. So everybody buys produce, right? Everybody in this room is going to the store and buying produce. And you know, from my perspective, I mean, these sort of things you guys don't know about. And I've often thought that at the retail level, that this might not be a bad thing. I mean, there's all sorts of brochures and coupons and everything else that they have up. To have something like this so that you don't have all these shoppers going in and going, why is our strawberry prices going through the roof right now? Or why can't I pick up an avocado at the store? Or what's with the green beans? I mean, we'll talk a little bit more about it, but everything is affected by jobs. This came out today, and this is basically, this is forwarded from our MAs out to our customer base in order to allow them so that they know. So if it's a big item, we'll either give them an opportunity buy or whatever. But it's really just, information is really important to people. So this is one of the things that we do, because it's very important that you guys, well, in the food service end, if there's something that goes on with a Kennebec potato, for instance, that you're aware of that, so you can either adjust your food costs or reduce your labor or whatever you have to do. So I think that we're good on this one. So just to explain a little bit about myself, it's been about 12 years, district sales manager, took this job on as a produce, in the produce category about a year and a half ago. And this is a very fascinating category because it's always changing. Everything is changing in this category constantly. But one of the things we talked about at the table was our local programs. This is one of our local farms, Mitchell Farms. That's Tom Mitchell. And he has about a 500-acre farm in Saanich. And so we're constantly trying to create more local programs. I don't know how much people in this room are supporting the local crops and the produce, but we try to do our best to do that. So we started out by sourcing through a co-op called Vancouver Co-op, and we gradually built it up. We're now working with a farm called S&G Farm out of Oliver, BC. We're bringing in our own peppers. You probably saw them in the stores actually. They were big crates, but S&G Farms out of Oliver, BC is doing peppers. Of course, you've got your economic fruits that have always been there, but they're starting to grow more traditional produce, untraditional, I should say. So we have jalapeno peppers and all sorts of stuff. We're transitioning to things that we never used to get out of BC, put it that way. Our team in Victoria is made up of 5 total people. There's myself, who drives the sales category for Vancouver Island. We have 2 buyers, and we have 2 people, quality control people downstairs that are dedicated full-time. That's the only category, full-time, to produce. So we take our produce very proudly. There's well over 60, 80 years worth of experience within our company in the produce sector. And we'll go into just a little bit on why we need to invest what we do in the food. And this is a big reason. I mean, when you guys think about produce, do you guys really think that there's anything really unsafe about produce? No? Okay, so recalls in our world are very important. I mean, we talked about the fact how large we are. I mean, we're about 46 to, we just bought another company over in Europe, so we could be 56 billion now. I don't know, but we need to protect our customer base. And there's a lot of airborne illnesses and a lot of things that can come out of our produce. Your spinach can be an issue, alfalfa sprouts, there's a lot of them. So what we do in the food safety is it starts right in the fields with us. And you didn't see it in that video, but Sysco was the first company to provide, I know this sounds really strange, proper cleaning facilities and toilet facilities on the sites. They were the first ones to do it. Sysco has always paid the workers more money to pick in their fields. And that's where it all started. This whole thing it was identified how important it was that we provide not just the quality but the safety of your products, right? And like strawberries. I mean, there's so many things that can be picked that we as the consumer can get sick. We can get sick just from eating spinach, right? If it's not cleaned properly. So our systems start to feel we can track it down when we have a recall. We can track it down as far within our universal product code as far as the picker, the date, the field. So once we know that there's an issue of any kind, we can track that down, right down to who the picker was, and within probably, we try to do it as quick as we can. We don't fool around with recalls. There's 2 types of recalls. One is you have to make it, and the other one is you can make a decision whether you're going to do it or not, right? And we typically always go err on the side of caution. We'll always recall. The last recall that we had was cantaloupe, and it didn't affect our OPCO, but it was a Sysco Imperial, and I believe within 24 hours we recalled all of the fruit off the streets, and it was back and it was disposed of. And again, we don't fool around with stuff. We have one person in our building, Jansen Lee, that's dedicated to that alone, really. I mean, he has other jobs, but every customer's phone that something went out to within the last 48 or 72 hours based on that case. So that's very important. The other thing that's very important was this HACCP, which is, it's basically, does anybody know what HACCP is? It's a certification that the person that has to come around, we're certified once a year to make sure that we're doing everything that's clean, that our hold harmless agreements are in place in order to be safe for our customers. So it's a very important piece with us. We have what are called Sensitech recorders, and what they do is they provide a temperature reading from the time it leaves California, for instance. So a probe goes into the trailers, and basically it's left in the trailer, and when it's received at our building or whoever, Vancouver, Victoria, it's plugged in, and it has to have a certain temperature for that particular product. If it doesn't meet the standards that we expect from that, then we send it back. So there's a lot of things that we do on that end. I think our next slide we'll talk about, and it is a global thing. You saw that fill on the field. We have people all over the world, and they're dedicated, they're paid by Sysco to make sure that there's quality and the safety insurance is in place. So members all over the world do this. And that would go for any California, that's Florida, Chile, Peru, we have them all over the world, wherever we're sourcing product. The latest one, does anybody eat avocados here? Not looking very good right now for avocados. We actually got involved. It's kind of funny. I'll do the cartel story first. Did you guys remember about 3 years ago the lime crisis that we had? Does anybody know why we had that lime crisis?
Too much gin and tonic.
Well, close. What it was is we're the largest volume of limes are grown in South America and Mexico. It's all owned by the cartels. Okay, so the cartels they're not. We all know they're pretty brilliant. They don't, they're not just dealing in one source of revenue. So what they ended up doing is they blocked all the roads so that no suppliers could come in and pick up their limes, grab their limes, and they drove the price of the commodity from $35 a case to about, I don't know, $200. It's about $200 a case. Okay? So avocados, when we move forward, when we talk about the avocados in crisis that we're seeing now, I don't know if you've noticed in the store, either you'll have bad quality or there won't be a lot there or there won't be any there. And I don't know for sure, but I think that the cartel, these brilliant people, kind of put it in the minds of the immigrants and the Mexicans and whatever that, hey, maybe we can do something like this too. So the Mexican workers went on strike about 3 weeks ago, which is unheard of. It's never ever happened in the history of that particular commodity. They struck, they wouldn't go to work. And that would take a lot to do that. So what's happened is that Sysco got involved with the Mexico government, because we buy a lot of avocados. And they brought the parties together, and there was an agreement that took place. So they're back at work now, but you will see a commodity increase significant over the next 2 to 3 weeks, and then it'll kind of go down. Hopefully, because what they have to do now is instead of flooding the market with the fruit, they have to slowly release the fruit so that it doesn't drive the price up. That make sense? Now that's just a little bit of trivia for you. Some of the things that we really, as a company, need to look at is obviously hold harmless agreements. Hold harmless is an insurance from each of our suppliers that deems them that they're responsible, that there's certain things that have to be on the products, codes, etc., in order for us to buy. It's a $10 million liability policy, and every one of our suppliers has to have that. So, from your perspective, as far as your Kennebecs and that, I mean, it's all good. You're okay. We also have what's called GAP, which is a big part of it, which is called. Does anybody know what GAP is? Come on, really? Oh, you.
That's what I said. That's what I
That's
said.
exactly what Brad said. GAP is what they call good agricultural practices. Okay, so that's something that the Canadian government has formulated with the farmers. And again, these are all, they don't sound like much, but these are all critical pieces of a puzzle in order for us to provide safe, quality, local product. And it's not easy because there's a bunch of things that have to be put into place, and Sysco spent millions and millions on it. What else am I? Yeah, okay, this is probably, we're getting towards, I mean, I only had 15 minutes, I don't know where I'm at. I'm sorry, I apologize for that. One of the things that we talked about before is the alerts. We like to make sure that our customers are aware, and we have various ways that the MAs get information weekly. We have a weekly news thing that we send out. We have alerts that we send out. You guys can go on YouTube. You know, what else do we have? Well, we talked about the avocado market increase, but we try to provide that information. If you're buying a lot of avocados, then we would let you know so that we could maybe offer an alternative. So all these things that we do are to serve you best, and that would go for the retail level too. I mean, I think it'd be a great idea. Don't you think it'd be a good idea if you guys pick something up, if you knew, you know, if you had something that was hanging on in the store that told you that there was a problem or something, would it be more understanding, or would you still go to the store going, oh, geez, I can't? I don't know. There's a lot of things that affect produce. A lot. You've got the US dollar. I think it's actually, I think our dollar's going down, isn't it? What's that?
We were up yesterday.
Oh, we were? Okay. So we did go through a big, and that US dollar really affects our produce because our produce comes out of the States for the most part. So the last little piece is just these are the links that we showed you the one link, but you know, we also provide this line. You see that in your stores as well. You'll see how Thrifties, they're usually at the cutting edge. You see how they're breaking their packaging down, and they're offering small amounts of product. And that's all kind of part of the value-added piece. So I think that the next one was just the last little bit was just on the transition. So I'm going to have to get in just a little bit here. So we talked about this at the table. Are you guys all familiar with where your vegetables all come from? So this is Salinas, California. This is Salinas, okay? That's Northern California. That's the largest growing region in the Western Hemisphere. It's called the lettuce capital of North America. So typically crops are growing from April to September, and then you do what we call its transitions. So on transitions, you get your last of the crop, and that's why maybe you go to the store now and you go, geez, why is the romaine looking so rough? Or you'll go there and you look at your romaine and it's just a tiny little thing and they're charging $3 for it. Because these are transitional periods. So we're going in a transitional period now where we're going down into Arizona, into Yuma, and that's where all your product will be picked out of. So anything from your grapes, your grapefruits, your oranges, your romaines, your strawberry, all that sort of stuff. And then the last period in the winter months, they go to places that are far, far south. Yuma is your farthest that they're going to, and then into Mexico. The last little piece on the Hurricane Hazel. Everybody familiar with Hurricane Hazel? So Hurricane Hazel demolished a lot of, thankfully there wasn't that many lives that were lost, but the crops were significantly damaged in Hurricane Hazel in North Carolina, South Carolina, down through that eastern seaboard. So that will affect us as well moving forward in the months. It will affect the consumers and the food service. So things like green beans and strawberries, and there'll be a whole bunch of stuff that will be affected. But we don't know about that right now as a consumer. We just know that there was a big hurricane. And even if you went to the store, you go, geez, why is the strawberry so high? A lot of this is affected by our weather. So I think that pretty much, I mean, I don't know if I hit the 10 to 15 minute mark.
14.
What's that?
14 minutes.
14 then? Okay, well, I mean, I did pretty good with it. I mean, I just, you know what, I wanted to give you guys sort of a macro level at what it's like in our world. And it is, you know, it gets boring to some, it's interesting to others. And I wanted to try to make it sort of simple. And I took a 30-minute presentation and I drove it down into 14 and a half minutes.
33 seconds.
33 seconds I have. But is there any questions?
Yeah,
I mean,
does Sysco have their own farms?
no.
No, you're just strictly a distributor.
We're a distributor, but what we do is we go to X amount of farms and we work with farms. Like we work with Taylor Farms and what we call a Revolution Partners. We work with Church Brothers, which is another Revolution partner. So we go to them and the suppliers and we do. We don't go to the separate farms. They have like co-ops down there as well, so that's what we do. And we've got some pretty good buying power, so we try to work with people that, with the farms that are more consistent and better quality and that sort of stuff.
One other question.
Well, you get to take two, there's a whole bunch of questions.
Two per person.
Oh, okay, all right.
All right, strawberries that you buy, say from the local market, are you better off to keep them in the fridge or just leave them on the counter?
Fridge. But to answer your question, is that a local strawberry or is that a California strawberry?
California.
Yeah. They're both going to be better in the fridge, and just so you know, we pick, local farmers will pick their strawberries ripe, okay? So you do not have as much time on a local strawberry to eat it because they pick it ripe, whereas in the States, they pick them when, you'll see that on the top, we call it color, it's all white, and they basically, there's a process, it's a gas process that ripens the fruit as it makes its way up on the trucks. And so it's never ever, it'll never taste the same as that local product, ever. But both in the fridge.
You know, when Christmas time comes, you go to the store and you see these nice, beautiful looking peaches. You take them home, you cut them and they're rotten in the middle. What's the cause of it?
Cause of that, that's basically the pit itself. The pit is what ripens the fruit. So your avocados, the pit ripens the fruit. Your peach, the pit. And so it would have been hit likely with a large amount of heat, and it would have heated that pit up, and then it would have, the process is too quick on the inside of it. So it would have rotted the fruit. Simple.
Don't buy them Christmas time.
You know what, I mean, and that's really something to think about is we know that in our worlds today that you can pretty much go to the store and you can get anything you want. When I was a kid, I know it's hard to believe, I was a kid at one point. Mandarin oranges came once a year,
Yeah.
right? And that was a big thing. When mom and dad brought home their first box of Mandarin oranges, you know, end of November type thing. Now you can go in the store, you can pretty much get Mandarin oranges all the time. I mean, we have Mandarin oranges, they just come from different regions. So, you know, whenever you're buying your product, you should kind of, if you know, we don't grow peaches, we grow those in the summer in BC, you know, because you're going down that stuff. Peaches at that time of the year, they're getting those from like Chile and Peru. So you think about that, but picking it, and then it's coming up off, you know, a flight or a truck. It's a long ways to go for a peach, and it's really expensive.
I was interested in your story about the avocado workers strike, and if it's like most strikes, it's probably about wages or working conditions. So, and you mentioned that you guys had some ability to bring something to the table to help. What can Sysco possibly do to help with that?
Well, Sysco's, we got tentacles everywhere, and when we're affected by it just like anybody else. So what Sysco would do is there would have been probably two sides. There would have been the worker side, and there would have been the supplier side, so the people that own those fields. So we're connected to the people that own the fields. So Sysco might have negotiated something with the supplier. Look, we'll pay you a couple extra bucks. These guys got to get back to work, right? But they worked, and it was the Mexican government. It was Sysco representatives and suppliers, and then whoever represented the workers. But they organized something. I don't know how technical it would be. I don't know if it was wages or benefits. I do know that we pay both. That the Mexican migrants that come up through California and follow the trains, they only have to work something like 6 months in the U.S. in order to, they can go back in order, you don't have to live you don't have to earn money for the other 6 months because we pay them that much. So maybe they're trying to get more money out of there. Any other questions?
I just have one. But you must have an awful lot of waste, like spoilage. What do you?
We call it shrink.
What happens to it all? Does it just get landfills? Or?
No, we have a pig farmer. We have 2 pig farmers. that pick up daily anything that we can't give. See, we have a policy with our quality products that if there's less than, I think it's 4 or 5 days of the product, we can't send it out even if it looks good. So what we do with that product is we give that to the food bank on a daily basis or a weekly basis, I'll say. Pig farmers come in every day and that pretty much takes care of it. Or it gets thrown out because not even pig would eat.
Not a produce question, but whereabouts is Sysco based?
Sysco, our corporate headquarters is Houston, Texas. Our Canadian corporation headquarters is Toronto, and our local opco is Victoria. Just as you're coming out of Goldstream Park, so just on the right, it's a big, you've been down the building. Yeah, large building. It was a 40, see that's another point too. I mean, our opco was $43 million to build. Okay, so Sysco gave us that money to build our opco because we were getting too small where we were on the top of Douglas Street. And that created a lot of jobs just building that building. It was a large investment. I mean, you'd be through it, you're pretty impressed with it? Yeah. So, you know, it's state-of-the-art facility, and, you know, Sysco, I know that they're big cog, or they're supposed to be looked at, but we both live on Vancouver Island. We've got about 300 workers that right off the island. So you're buying local, you're supporting local. Not that I was going to, that's all I'm going to pitch. Okay. Anything else? Any other questions? I really appreciate you guys having me in. I didn't know how it was going to go. Hopefully you learned just something. You know, if you take something away, that's the main thing, right? Even if it's the lime cartel.
Thank you very much, Brad.
Thank you, sir.
Very interesting presentation. People are really interested today to know where their food comes from, and it's an important thing to know.
Yeah.
And I know a lot more about Sysco, and when I see those trucks now, I'll be able to remember.
Yeah, me too.
Thank you.
Small token from the Rotary Club of Port Alberta
Appreciate it.
to remember us by, and hopefully come back and give us an update on.
Well, if these guys want me back, I'll come back and we'll go to Produce 202. Thank you, everybody.